Hey, it's Mike with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's September 17th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and we really had almost a repeat of yesterday. We were mostly sideways with a little bit of an upward bias to it right here. Um, the issue is we're stuck in this tight range, but at the same time, we're still kind of making higher high. Really, from about right here, we were making higher highs and higher lows, and then we came back down, and then we started making higher highs and higher lows again. But you can see how choppy this is, and mostly sideways. And when we did move up, we just went sideways again. There's probably a midline in here. I didn't even point that out, but there's one in here. Um, this line really kind of moved as the day progressed. Starting off, you would have been down here, probably right in there, and then you had these little failed break lowers, and so then you would expect prices to be working back up, um, and then once we got up here, then you expect prices to try to work back down. And you can see we tried to go lower twice, even though we went higher. The trade was still to go short up here, and the trade is to go long down here. So you don't want to be getting short down here at the lows, and you don't want to be getting long up here. And that's the main key to all this is where you're, on a range day when it's like this, you got to buy at the lows and sell at the highs. And you don't just do that randomly. You wait on the right setup. So uh, not a lot of trades today, but there's plenty here. Maybe a couple more than we had yesterday. Um, but there's not a lot of them here. Won't take long to go through these. But when I came in, 7 o'clock was coming on this drop back down here. And so again, you probably would have had this right down here about now, about this time. So we just came off the top. The highs were right in here, and we just came off the top. So I marked this one as a possibility. Let me back out a little more, but that's really a very iffy trade. There is a short-term trend line working through there, and you used to pull back to it. So, and it's a second entry short. There's a new low right here, so first entry and then second entry. But we're so close to these lows here, you might could argue for them to be a little bit lower, maybe down here. But since we bounced right here, and I like to use the close where you get the most touches, that's where I'm going to have it. And if you don't have enough room to get out between here and this line, you can't go short right there. You got to keep that in mind. And you can't go short up here because this is really your signal bar. That's the highest bar in the swing. So your entry would be one tick below that, which is way down here. And that's a big bullish bar. So you can't go long there. This is an inside bar. You might say, okay, I'll go short one tick below it. But that's risky because inside bars are not reliable. So there's no entry there. You really need to wait on a lower high, which comes right here. And then you don't have much room because you're right into the support. Yes, you would have had a winning trade right there, but you can't go short into that. If you do, the next time it's going to bounce there and you're going to get burned. Just like right here, notice what happened. It bounced right into that support. And here it bounced a little early, and so it may push down. Fire truck or something going by. I apologize. Just let them get out of the way. Okay. So you expect it to bounce here. Even if it gets on through, it's probably going to come back. And that's why I always tell you, you don't short at the lows, you look to get long. And that's what happened here. It fails to the bottom side. And even if it's going to go lower, usually it will fail temporarily. And it does fail, and it comes back up in and gets back in the trading range and starts working higher again. Unfortunately, there's no good setups down here. This bar is too neutral. This bar's got too big a stem right into the EMA, right into like a little double top there, so you can't go long there. You get what looks like a reversal pattern here. I did not mark this trade, but this is a possibility. This is kind of what a reversal trade. It really was a reversal when it broke higher here, and so I don't really like that setup right there. Usually it doesn't matter what this bar looks like, but you want this setup to be near this trend line. And on the shorter term trend line right here, I'm going to talk about that in a minute too. That's the reason I have them both on here. You've already had a break, and so it's a little bit risky going long right there. Even though you might expect prices to continue higher, I'd want to wait on a second entry, which doesn't come till here, and then your signal bar is not very good. So there's really no setup there. You get a higher low here, again off the EMA, off a little bit longer term trend line up through there. And but now you got to go long right into all this resistance, and you see what happens. It runs up, it goes a little higher, and it fails. And I'd rather take a chance of going short right there than I would going long right there. We just came off the lows on a failed break lower, so you're looking to try to get long in case you catch that important low of the day. So I just don't think you want to enter either way here, because what happens, you just get whipsawed back and forth. And once you made all this support right here, actually before we move to that, I want to talk about this. Somebody asked me, I did not have this trend line on here this morning. I just had this short term one. And really the reason is because we started going sideways here, and I was playing this like a range. You didn't really need this trend line. You could have had it on here. There's nothing wrong with this trend line. This trader asked me about it, want to know which one was right, because he saw this one and I had this one marked. Well, they're both right. This is the first move up, so it's a little lower time frame. This is a bigger time frame. And that's the beauty of what happens in price action, is that's why it works on any time frame, because you have all these things going on at different time frames. So his trend line was not wrong. I just didn't see any need for it, so I didn't put it on there. Because what I did was I moved the support up, because look how we're bouncing across there. And when we came back down to it and got that little break lower right there and ended with that bullish bar, that's where I want to go long. You got plenty of room to get out now. You got a double test. Notice you made that low. You tested it once. You tested it twice. So if we break above this, we're probably going to push on back up again. And this does appear to be the lows, so hopefully we'll go all the way to the highs. This turns out to be the best trade of the morning so far. You would have had a runner on that, and that's probably where I would have looked to exit, right in here. As soon as we broke below a new bar, I probably would have exited, so you would have exited right there within a point or so off the high. And it drops back down here, and it just starts going sideways. This is still in play right across here, and the highs have just kind of dropped down right across here. So you got another little trading range working across here. Plus you got this somewhat of a little spiking channel, and there's a little bit, we're making higher highs and higher lows up through there till right here, but then we start making them again. So first, you didn't really know for sure if this was going to be in play until it landed over here. At this point, I'm just still playing the range. I'm not even paying any attention to that trend line. But it's there. You got to, be aware of it in case it comes back into play, which it kind of does here. But again, you don't really need it because you're playing the support across here. So back to where we were at down here. We just talked about that trade. So then you come back and you test that level once. You test that level twice. It holds. Look at that nice bullish bar. It closed within a tick of its high. You got plenty of room to get out. Go long one tick above that. There's your another easy trade. Now you got all this resistance at the highs, and you get that little failed breakout to the top side. You got plenty of room to get out. Go short right there. There you go. Boom. Comes down, and you actually have a little bit of a different setup here. You've got this bar, which is what you would assume is going to be your signal bar, but then this one makes an equal low and is nice and bullish. So you can use this as your signal bar. And this one closes on its very high. So as long as you got room to get out here, you can go long here. And you might even use these higher highs here now, because you've pushed on through there and kind of cleaned that out. So that gives you a little more room, and you can judge this one that way. And look where it goes. It goes up. It actually turns back down. It went a little higher than the original one where I had it. And it turns back down. But it keeps going higher. So this would have been another. You get a higher low here. But I don't like this one as much because it's right into that resistance again. So it would have worked, but you don't know that ahead of time. Notice it went to the next resistance and turns back down. But we come back down and you got a little double bottom here, so always draw that line, and that keeps you from getting into any shorts here. There's actually a possibility of going short here, but this trend line, this little shorter term trend line is still in play, and we hadn't reached the highs really yet, although there has been a lot of resistance right across this level. Here you probably say, I got to wait on the lower high, which comes right here, and that's a very bullish bar. You can't use that for a signal bar. And by the time you get a failed second entry long, it looks like a reversal. Look at all the support. You're going short right into it. And this is why you don't go short into that, because look what happens. It ticks one or two ticks and reverses. So that's a good example of why, you know, it could have bounced on, it could have pushed on through and ran down here and bounced down here. But you can't take a chance on that. You got to assume it's going to bounce there. So, and that's what happens. But notice it made that low. You test it once, you test it twice, and it can't get through there. It actually broke lower turn and went out the other side. I like going long one tick above that bar, but this is really your signal bar. And if you got enough room, you can put a buy stop above that. But what I'd probably do if I was going to wait on this bar is let it break higher and then drop a limit order back one tick above the original bar and see if it would back up and fill me and then go up. Because if you're getting long way up here, you're not leaving yourself a whole lot of room to get out. And notice what happens. It struggles before it can push on up through there. And there is a little bit of a failed second entry short right here. But with all that resistance up there and not much room, again, you can't go long right there. It does push on up. And this is kind of new ground since way early this morning. There's still been resistance across here, and you're a little way away from the EMA. That one is the one you might could argue to be green, because you do have plenty of room to get out, and it is at the highs. I always think it's better to wait on the lower high to get confirmation that this isn't just going to back up a little bit and keep going. And your lower high comes right here. Didn't close through the EMA. It's kind of back in this little choppy area. You still got this support here. You just kind of got to see it. And then you make this high. That signal bar is too bullish. You could look at that as a failed second entry long. But again, you got to go short right there. You never get a trigger. But then it tries to go higher again. And look what happened here. You really made this high. You test it once, you test it twice, and this actually broke higher and turned and went out the other side. I like going short right there. If you waited for that bar to close, I'm not as crazy about it, because then it ends up with all that stem, and I probably would have went short one tick below this bar on this one. If I didn't go short when it broke below this bullish bar, I probably would have waited. And then it comes back and tests it again, and it actually breaks higher again and runs out the other side. Same thing. You want to put your sell stop right here, anticipating if it breaks through, you enter. If not, I'm not waiting on this big bar and going short right down here, where again there's a lot of support. And you do get a little breakout pull back short right there, but you still got this possible trend line, and it's still holding. You may take that trade. I'm willing to make it green. I think it's too aggressive. But if you're wanting to be a little aggressive with not many trades, you might consider that one. There's a failure here, but now you're right back into all this strong support, and you see what happens. Prices can't get through, and it reverses, and you would have got burned there again. And there's another lower high, but again, you're going short right into all that support. And that's why we avoid those. And instead, what you really look for, if you fail down here, you might want to go long. The only reason this is not blue instead of green is because there's 3 bar matching highs right there, and you're relatively close to the EMA. So it could break higher and turn down. It could just run back up into the EMA and turn down. It's not an ideal trade, but there's been support across there all day. It's probably going to at least come back here, and you might catch that important low again. So I'm willing to mark that one green. The better trade is to wait on the higher low right here that pushes through the EMA, pulls back, tests it, and gives you a fairly bullish bar. that's the better trade, and then off it goes. There's actually one more little pullback here to test that trend line again when it pushed through it, and a bullish bar. But there's been a lot of resistance across that. That's the close from yesterday, and you see this bar broke lower but couldn't get through there. That's not a good sign. Even though once it did break through, it ran off. You probably don't want to get long right there. I'd wait and see if you can't get a short off the highs. You're so close, and you run up here, and then there's that new high. We made another new high. Big bearish bar. That bar is humongous. This trend line's still kind of in play. I'd wait on the lower high here, and you actually get it right here, still way away from the EMA. Again, this is one of those deals where they're got matching highs, so this is not really an inside bar. You could use either one of them for your signal bar. I like going short one tick below that one. It's a lower high off of this, and you're a bit away from the EMA, and that's a quick, easy trade. There is another lower high right here. Again, it's right into all that support. Notice that we bounced 3 times there. It was almost tempting to go long right there. But with that big a move down, there's too big a chance that we're going to get a attempt at another leg down. So I don't recommend that trade, especially after we just made a new high. I mean, we hadn't been that high since back last night when the market opened after 5 o'clock. So that one's a little bit risky right there. And you see what happens. It fails and gives you a chance to go long, which is the better move right there. So, and that takes you in the 2 o'clock hour. Wait a minute, I can skip ahead here. No, I'm in the right place. We talked about this one. We talked about a possible long right there. Then we run down and it fails out that bottom. You can't go short right there because it's into all that support. So if you're going to do anything, you got to go long here. But even if you went long, you got whipsawed. But the key is we just came off the highs again, and the odds are we're going to try to push lower, especially now that we've had. Here you could argue maybe that's not a convincing close outside this little channel working up. Here's no doubt we got a convincing close. We ran to a new high, so this thing could start trading down. But guess what? It just keeps going higher. And you never really get another short setup. This long, there's a second entry long right here, but that doesn't come until 2:30, 14:30, after 14:30 or 2:30, which is 2 o'clock is our cutoff time. So, so again, I'll say this again, the keys to trading, where you got to be really careful is in the middle here. Unless you start making strong support like here or strong resistance like right here. You got to be careful because this is where you'll get chopped up. The best place to enter is long off the lows and short off the highs. Now somebody sent me a question and they were getting short at, let me pause it and find their question. And I can't figure out, again, I ask you, if you're going to send me a trading question, please send me a chart. And don't say it's on page 5 of the manual or 10 of the manual, because I don't have time to dig the manual out and look it up. With 50 or 100 questions a day, even if I spend 5 minutes a question, I'm here all day. So I need to be able to answer questions real quickly, 30 seconds like. So if you send me a picture, all I have to do is look and say, okay, he went long right here, and you mark where you entered at, and I know it takes 2 seconds. But if I have to go find the chart, or in this case, he told me a time and a place, and I'm just going to show you what I would have to do and to try to figure this out. So I'm going to pause it just a sec. Okay, the first email he sent me, he says, shorted at 29.99.75 off 708 bar. Well, I don't have a 708 bar, so I'll try to find the closest one to that. So there's 702. So that is 708. That bar does say 708. So I guess he shorted right there. But that makes no sense. There's no setup that we teach anything like that. Why would you go short way down here right into support? It's exactly what I tell you not to do. I mean, that's exactly the opposite way you trade a range day. And even then, this was a range day because you can see that working across there. So I could have sworn earlier my bar said something different, but it does say 708. So that must be where I can only assume he went short right there. But why would you go short right there? Even if he did, it still should have worked. Yeah, it backed up a little bit, but your stop has to be way up here above the swing high. I mean, your entry here, if you entered anywhere on this setup here, your entry would be one tick below this bar right here. But that's not really your signal bar. This big green one is your signal bar. So assuming that's a bearish bar, your entry would be one tick below that. Or if it did make a little inside bar and this was a big bearish bar, then you might enter one tick below this inside bar. So but the fact that this is a big bullish one, that just nullifies that whole trade. You don't use inside bars in this case. So so his trade should have been right here, and he's a full 2 or 3 points late, and he goes short right into support. But even then, unless he just decided to exit, or unless he used this green bar, I just don't know. It doesn't make sense. There's no entry there. It doesn't match anything we teach or anything we do. There's just no entry there. So, but you see how long that took and all the deciphering, and I still don't know if that's even what he's talking about. Maybe he's on a different time zone. He doesn't say what time zone he's on. I mean, maybe he's talking about 8 something over here. Let's see if there's an 807. But this is what I go through without a picture. If he sent me a picture and says I entered one tick below here, it's done and over, I can look at it in 30 seconds and I can answer your question. But let's say he's looking at 807. Yeah, or what was it? Was it 80? 808. So it would have to be one of these two bars. So why would you go short way down there? We teach you to be looking longs for longs down here. Maybe 9. Let's just try one more hour. Maybe he's 2 hours different than me. Where are you? 90. That's going to be the same thing. You're going short right into support. So there's no setup there. And then he says I shorted again at 29.96 and a quarter off the 736 bar. It's got to be right in here. He must be on the same time. So why would you go short right there? You're a mile away from the EMA. You're at the low of the day. You should be looking to buy down. Anyway, it's frustrating. I'm sorry. I'm not mad at that trader. I don't want to sound like I'm scolding him or anything like that. I just get frustrated when they send me emails and he tells me nothing's working, and well, if that's really where he's getting short, nope, nothing's going to be working because you're not trading. You're not trading anything we teach, any of our processes, anything. So, but yes, hopefully you can see that if he sent me a chart and it shows a picture of him going short right here, one tick below that bar, then it's very clear. I can say, yep, I could see why you might take that trade. I'd been a little bit concerned with this support down here, but I could live with that trade right there. Because at that point, your support's probably here. It's still really pushing it. That's a dangerous place to go short because you see what happens. Most of the time, it won't even get through there. But you might have even argued that the lows were still here, and that gives you enough room. So I could see him taking that trade. I marked it green myself. It's a little aggressive. It's not the best trade in the world, but I could see why you would like that trade. Why you would go short one tick below this bar or even this bar, unless your chart looks a little different. I guess it could. But you definitely don't need to be going short way down here. Let me look at one other thing because he does give the time. I hope this is not too boring. Hopefully we're all, everybody's learning something from this. But he said his entry was 29 29.75. Let's find that. 29.99.75. Okay, that, and he went short at 708 bar. So he must have. There's 29.99.75 right there. So he must have had a bar right here, but that trade would have worked. So he says 2 points off trend line, but I don't know what he's talking about. I guess you could have tried to draw a trend line down through here. Maybe that's what he's talking about. So yeah, if you went short right there below that bar, I'll give you a little bit more credit than if it was below this big green bar. And then 29.96 1/4. Let's find that. All right, there's that price, and let's find the bar. 736 bar. So he must have went short right in here, and that's a no-no because it's right into the support. So still, that's not a very good trade. I can't justify that one. I might could justify you entering up here depending on what your chart looked like. There's no reason to justify going short down here at all. So, but you see how long that took? We've been talking about this for 15 minutes, and I'm still not even sure exactly what you did. Where if you'd sent me a picture of your chart and said, hey, I went short 1 tick below this bar, then I could have looked at it real quickly, told you what you did right or wrong, and determined if it was a good setup. Because maybe it is a good setup on your chart. Maybe your chart looks a little different than mine. You know, I don't know. I can't tell by trying to figure it out with all you're giving me is your entry point price and your time. So anyway, I could have sworn you told me in the next email that both of these were losers. So I don't know how this first one could have been a loser because prices just dropped straight on down. Unless you got scared when it bounced, or I don't know. I don't know how that could have been a loser. I know why you lost this second one because it was not a very smart entry. But on the first one, even though it's not a very good setup, prices move strongly all the way down. There, nothing ever broke above another bar to stop you out except maybe this bar. But that doesn't fit the criteria of what you're telling me, so it couldn't have been there. But anyway, I hope that wasn't too boring for everybody else. I just felt like it was probably an interesting thing that we could talk about, that maybe somebody could learn something from it. But most importantly, I'm just trying to get everybody to understand that it's very helpful to me if you send a picture. And, if you're using, let me just show you this real quick. If you're using NinjaTrader like I do, all you got to do is right click and say image, save as, and there's your chart and the date, and just save it to your desktop where it's real quick to find, and go save. Now all you got to do is send me an email, click on attachment, and click and attach that picture. And you saved it to your desktop, so it's real easy to find in your email, and it's that simple. Now if you're not using NinjaTrader, and you're using some other trading software, I'm sure you can probably do something very similar. But it's just real simple to send a picture. So I know a lot of people are not very computer savvy and they don't know how to do that stuff, but I just showed you. Just right click with your mouse. It pulls up this. Look for image. Save as. There it is. Save it to your desktop so it's real easy to find. That's your main screen. When you drop all these stuff off, you'll see your desktop. And just hit save. Of course, I've already saved it, so it's asking me, do I want to replace it? And let's say I'm sending the chart an hour later. Yeah, I want to replace that old one. It still has the same name now, but I just replaced it with the new updated because I'm asking about this trade instead of this trade. And I create an email, click on attachment, and attach that picture and send it away. It's that simple. And so I hope that maybe that's helpful to some of you. Most of you probably know how to do that. I know that's pretty basic, but you'd be surprised. A lot of people don't know how to use computers, and they're trying to trade, and they're struggling just to try to trade, figure out the trading software, and they can't do much else with it. So, but I'm assuming that most every software has something similar to that. You may have to look at your directions, or ask your software provider how you save a picture of your chart. And if worse comes to worse, you can just take a screenshot, which is Control Alt Delete, and you can take a screenshot and then send a copy of your screen. It's that simple. So that's a way around it, even if your software doesn't allow you. But anyway, actually, I told you wrong before I finished this video. There's a print screen button on your keyboard. If you hit print screen, you can't even tell it does anything. But you hit print screen, and then you open up like your Paint. All software has Paint. There it is right there. You open up Paint, and then you just hit actually you want to just hit paste. You just click on that button right there and hit paste, and there it pops it right in the screen. See how easy that was? I just pushed the button, hit print screen, and I opened up Paint, and then just save this, name it whatever, name it Max for Mac or Mac or whatever, and then attach it to your email. I mean, it's real simple. It's not hard to do this stuff. So anyway, I hope that's helpful to everybody. It will be helpful to me. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm beating up on anybody or whatever, but when you've done past 10 emails and we're still trying to figure out what you're talking about, it does get frustrating for me, and it does take up a lot of time, and it's difficult for me. So make it easy for me so I can make it easy for you and help you out, because that's the bottom line. Is you probably need some help, and I want to help you, but I can't break my foot trying to help you. So if that makes sense. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Hope you had a good trading day. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.